Hello and welcome to True Crime with Marv. We are doing the next episode of Tabitha's story. It's a continuation of Michael Rain's deposition. I have Andrea here with me, my wonderful helper and
Hello.
expert. How are you, Andrea?
I'm fine.
Good. Are you ready to do some more reading?
I sure am.
All right. We are starting at page 60. So I am going to be playing the part of Michael Rains, and Andrea will be playing BA.
Robert Alden.
Yep. What is his name?
Robert Alden.
Okay. Must be stand for Bob Alden here because it says BA. Okay.
Right.
All right. So do you just want to go and ask the last question?
Sure.
On page 59?
Sure. So was she staying in Indy with somebody?
She just come to visit a friend.
And did you ever go to Illinois to visit her?
Yes, I did.
And what period was that?
I don't know.
Do you think it was the winter of 2002?
Yeah, it was the winter.
Okay, right after you saw Tara?
Yeah, it was in the winter.
Okay, and how long did a period did that go on, did you say?
It didn't really go on. We still email to this day.
All right, then after Jennifer, who else did you see?
There is a girl from Alexandria. Her name is Krista Whitcamper.
Last name?
Whitcamper. Yeah, I believe.
When did you start seeing her?
End of February, end of March, something like that.
How long did you see her? Tape ends.
Okay.
Okay, Michael, we are back on the record again. And you mentioned that you were with Krista Whitcamper.
Correct.
From Alexandria from February to March.
That's when it started.
So did you continue to see her then?
For a few weeks.
Okay, and did you have sex with her?
Yes, I did.
And then who else after that?
That was April. Lee.
Where is she from?
She was here in Tipton. I don't know where she's from, but Tipton's good enough for me.
All right, so how long did you see her?
A short 2 months.
So up until May, or when did you start seeing her?
I started seeing her in April and carried on till sometime in June.
When did you move in? When did you move from your house?
June 10th.
And so she lived with you up until the time you moved?
She lived with me after the time we moved, too.
Then afterwards, you moved to your new place and she was there for a while?
Yeah.
And then did you ask her to leave your house?
No, she left because she wasn't getting to see her kids. After a couple days of not seeing each other, we talked and then just split up.
So if she said you kicked her out of the house, that would be incorrect?
Like, kicked her out of the house? Kicked her out of the house?
In other words, you told her you wanted her to leave.
Right. She was already out of the house. She was back living here in Tipton with, what's his name? The bartender guy. I can't think of his name.
What bartender? What establishment?
Dugbo's?
Say it again.
Dugbo's?
Okay.
She had been staying there for a good week before we talked and split up. So she was already out of the house.
And who after June?
After April?
Yeah, April's her name. You saw her in the month of April to the month of June. So who did you see after June?
Now what?
After the month of June,
Right?
who did you see?
Nobody.
So you haven't been with anybody since April Lee.
No.
So is that it, or is there other people that you saw that you haven't?
Do what?
Is that the extent of the girls that you dated or you were with that had sex with, or was there other people that you saw or dated?
There was 2 others.
Who were they?
Amanda something from Elwood and Ashley something from Elwood.
What month was that?
Amanda was the end of November and Ashley was January. Each one night.
Did you ever go to Illinois for any other reason other than to see Jennifer Graham?
No.
Did you try to start a business there or something?
We went on business.
Who's we?
Me and Corey. I'd forgotten about that. We were showing perfume, cologne, pretty much soliciting. We went to see another branch of that store. And also,
What town in Illinois?
I don't know it. It was like near St. Louis, I think. I know close to around there. It had to be St. Louis.
What month?
I don't remember.
Was it before March?
Yeah, it was before March.
Did you see Drew Bush?
Drew Bush?
Uh-huh.
No, I didn't.
Do you know where he was?
I found out later at that time, actually, not too long ago, that he was in Illinois. At that time, I was not aware. I didn't know.
Do you know where in Illinois?
No, they just said somewhere in Illinois.
Did you have to give a sum of money to start this business in Illinois?
We weren't starting it. We were just going to look at one other store.
Okay, and is it a store that sells perfume?
Yes, it's kind of one of those scam businesses. They told us that it was paid on commission only, so we had to sell or we didn't get paid. And they wanted us to solicit to stores that you're not supposed to solicit to, like, say, Best Buy. They have a no soliciting sign, and we're supposed to go in there and try and sell. And they said they had all different places that we could go. So one day we were like, all right, we'll go check out the one in Illinois. Went over there, and it was like just the same type of thing. It was a 2-room office and people soliciting perfume.
But you didn't take a large sum of money.
No, I believe I had maybe $20 on me that time. Maybe.
Okay.
Corey had maybe 40.
When, if ever, did you get on medication?
Around the time I was going to the therapist, I was seeing my doctor for antidepressants, and I would have to look at medical statements to find the times, months, dates, and all that.
Do you think that was November?
It could very possibly have been. I want to say December. I know it was cold.
You took the polygraph examination on October the 31st. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember taking 2 of them.
The state police polygraph exam.
The first, I believe, was in Peru. They took me.
Was it a polygraph where they hook you up, or a voice stress where you just simply have a microphone?
It was the whole kit and caboodle, as far as I know. I had the finger thing, chest straps.
Right.
Arm pressure things.
Okay, so you took a polygraph examination on October the 31st, 2002, and that was before you got your depression medication. Is that right?
I think so.
And then you took a voice stress test after that, and that was after you had your depression medication. Is that right?
Possibly.
I think you showed a pill bottle to the examiner who saw.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah, it wasn't a pill bottle. I had samples of my antidepressants there in like a tin foil where you can pop them out.
Okay.
I showed him that. I kept that.
And did the examiners tell you how they thought you did on each one of those?
Yes, they did.
And what did each one of them say?
They both said I failed.
Do you have any explanation for that at all?
The only one I can give is the same one my doctor told me. There's so many things in the body that mixed up that those can't really be looked at as proof because they don't record the chemical activity in the body and just the more sound of. At the time that I took them, the name Tabitha Rains could have triggered something. And like when they said Tabitha Rains,
What doctor told you that?
Dr. Harper, my family doctor,
Okay.
he said that just hearing the name could have caused me for a jump. All right, hang on a second. He said that just hearing the name could have caused me for my heart to jump or my breathing to pick up or anything like that.
No. Now let's go back to your relationship with Kyle and Amanda. You indicated that you never knew that Kyle had sex with Tabitha. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And Amanda and Tabby never had any sexual contact.
I believe they kissed once, and that's the extent of my knowledge of their sexual relationship.
Now, you did go to their house and play this game called Foreplay.
Yes.
And the girls took their tops off.
I think they had their shirts off, yeah.
Did they have bras on?
I can't remember.
You can't remember that?
I can't remember that.
Is that because you are so used to seeing girls with their tops off?
No, because I'm so used to not remembering things that aren't important at the time.
We will refresh your recollection. You told the examiner on October the 31st that the girls had taken their tops off and exposed their breasts, and you talked about having sex with each other and the other couple.
If it's written down as I actually stated that, then that's probably what happened.
And that you agreed that Kyle could have sex with your wife and Amanda.
Yes, we talked about threesomes and foursomes between our two couples.
Well, when the girls had their tops off, was there any touching contact between anybody during that period of time?
There was touching and contact between me and Tabby, and there was touching and contact between Kyle and Amanda. It didn't cross.
But basically, you had no problem with Kyle having sex with Tabby, then is that correct? Were you in agreement that that should happen?
You see, the thing was, the thought process was that it wasn't going to be sex, like actual intercourse. Kyle wouldn't, actually be sticking his penis in Tabby's vagina, whatever. It was just going to be like oral between, like oral sex between me and Amanda and oral between, and then, we take our originals back and have at it. Wouldn't actually be like Kyle and Tabby having sex, because of
kind of the Bill Clinton theory, huh?
Well, it started that the conversation started between Amanda and Tabby, then it progressed to me.
And that was started between Amanda and Tabby?
They just started talking about things like sharing their sex stories between each other and all that. I don't know what they were actually talking about, but the subject got brought up to me. I was like, all right, well, if you want to, all right. But there's got to be, stipulations / rules. And between us three, we had it to where there was no actual sex in the swapping. It was just oral and touching and
What's us three?
me, Tabby, and Amanda. Kyle was the last one approached on the subject because Amanda knew Kyle probably wouldn't go for it no matter what. And as far as I know, he never did. But me, Tabby, and Amanda talked about it, and neither one of them could bear witness to watching the other one have actual sex with their mate, Amanda didn't want to see Tabitha having sex with Kyle, and Tabby didn't want to see Amanda having sex with me. It was just like a minor jealousy issue right there. But the oral they could probably deal with. It's one of those everyone was going to get buzzed off of something, probably alcohol, like we normally did, and then we see what happens. As far as I'm aware, nothing ever happened between Amanda and Tabby and Kyle, or the three of them together.
I was presented a computer printout. I will show you a copy of it to you from me. Have you ever seen that?
I don't know. Let me refresh my...
Okay, let's go off record. Okay, you had a chance to review that document.
Yes, I did.
Okay, and I'll mark that just for the purposes of deposition as Defense Exhibit A, okay? And I would ask that you put your initials on the bottom left hand of the page, okay? All right, and now what do you know about that document?
Well, I actually have the original of that document.
And what does this mean to you, and when was it written, and who wrote it?
Tabitha wrote it sometime after we were married. She never actually showed it to me. I just found it in her folder of personal writings, poetry, all that, etc. What it was talking about was when we were dating, how the first time I broke up with her, I never gave her a reason why. And even now, I still really don't know. I was thinking it's just because, I was young and didn't know what I wanted in life. And she talked about how we were working things out and how we broke up again because we weren't seeing each other at all, maybe every 2 weeks that we got to see each other. So we broke up a second time during our dating period. And then she goes on to talk about how she thought I was only with her because of our son Drake. She told me she was pregnant and we got back together. She thought that was the reason why. At least that's what it seemed like. She thought that was the reason why I was getting back together. From what I concluded out of her statement, she's saying that I don't talk to her. She's wondering my thoughts on our relationship.
All right. It specifically says, I know that you say that you love me and that you want this baby in your life. But sometimes I can't help but think that if this baby was not in our life, our relationship would be different, or maybe not at all. So do you think her take on your relationship is really, it was not one of true couplehood, was mutually in love with each other?
Her opinion, I know this because we actually talked about this. I never seen this particular document, but I remember having this discussion with her because she was just worried about my thoughts because I didn't talk very often. I'm not a real talkative person. I don't show my feelings, share my feelings, whatever. I'll tell you I love you, but I don't really do those small romantic gestures that most women like. She was just concerned that, we were growing apart. So she asked me about it. And I mean, it took everything she had just to ask me. Inaudible.
When did you have this conversation?
April or May, something like that.
April or May of 2002?
Yeah.
How well do you know Drew Bush?
I know his name. I might be able to tell you who he is if I seen him. Maybe. I knew he went to school and he was one of Tabby's friends, but...
Do you know if Tabby ever dated him?
I believe I did, but she just didn't really talk about that kind of thing with me. She didn't really talk about her past experience with boyfriends or whatnot.
Did Tabby ever talk about him in any way whatsoever when you were married?
She might have mentioned him one day coming home from school, but not actually talking about him.
Did Tabby ever say she did drugs with him?
Not that I'm aware of.
Were you with when you were you with her when you were coming home from school for all those days before October the 2nd and being on weekends? Were you with her literally every evening for months from the time you got home from school till the time you went to bed?
Yeah.
So, yes.
She was out every weekend and I didn't have school or anything.
How many of those evenings do you think that she had used cocaine or was high on cocaine?
I only know one time that she did cocaine because I watched her do it.
There's no way she was addicted to cocaine, was there?
In my opinion, no. She didn't show any signs, didn't look the part of a cocaine user.
Could there be any reason whatsoever why she would steal cocaine?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, at the time, I had a good job. I don't think she was working at the time.
I mean, she didn't have a need to steal cocaine, did she?
No, she didn't need the cocaine.
Right, as an addiction?
Right.
The only person she ever done cocaine with would have been
Kyle Neff.
Kyle Neff.
The one time I watched her do one line.
And if Kyle Neff, okay, strike that. Let's go off the record. Okay, we've talked about a lot of facts here now, and I just want to know that you indicated you thought a lot about the situation. And I'm just asking what your take is on this situation. What do you think?
About everything?
Uh-huh.
I think that whoever actually killed Tabby didn't have reason. There's no reason to kill. They took my son's mother.
Okay, now I appreciate what they did there, but I'm talking about the motive for the murder and this kind of thing.
What do you mean? What I think the motive for the murder was?
Do you have any feel for who was involved? Why it happened? What happened? I mean, I know you've heard of a lot of rumors.
I heard all the rumors and...
Okay, we're going to go off the record. We're back on the record, so continue with your feelings about all of this. What you were saying.
Yeah, I've heard all the rumors about who might have done, why they might have done it, who was involved, what Tabby had to do with, her own death. I wasn't there. I don't know.
Right, but I'm just asking if you have any thoughts on it. If you don't have any thoughts, then say, I don't have any thoughts. If you do, then...
What I have is, after the trial's over, that's what I think. After the trial's over, I'll know.
Okay.
That's my only thought.
Have you heard or do you know anything about Drew Bush that makes you suspect his credibility?
I heard before the police even told me that they had a witness who it was and where they had to go, whatever. And you hear rumors through the grapevine and all that. I had heard it was Drew Bush, but the police went and picked up from Illinois and brought him back. Didn't specify where in Illinois, just that he was there. And that like 50 party hearsay, I heard that he was there, that he tried to stop the two holding Tabby, and then all that. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, my question was, do you know of anything about Drew Bush that you would question his credibility?
That would question his credibility? No. I know actually nothing about Drew Bush.
Do you know anything about Kyle Neff that would question his credibility?
Yes, I do. His attempted robbery of Carter's. His mother told the school when he threatened to bring guns to I believe it was his senior prom, because his girlfriend, he was going to shoot up the place.
Is Kyle a manipulator kind of guy? Is he... Do you know anything about his personality?
To me, to me personally, he wasn't a manipulator and he didn't really lie that often, but you could catch him in some of the stupidest things. Like he would lie about the stupidest things just because I don't think sometimes he even knew why he was doing it. He would just lie out of the blue, and he knew he was lying. You knew he was lying, and everyone else in the room knew he was lying, but yet he'd stay with it. But other than that,
Okay, I have no further questions. Jay Rich. Okay, Mike, have you ever met Drew Bush?
I believe I have
When?
at school.
When was that?
Probably my senior year, which ended in 2001.
When you say I think I met him,
Well, I can't really put a face to the name. I mean, I've heard the name a lot, and I've probably seen him cruising around town, and I'd probably talked to him and didn't even realize I was talking to him. You know, friends of friends of friends. You really, when you're in a big group of people or even at school, you just start talking to somebody and someone comes into the conversation and you just like talking to them. You don't even ask for their name.
uh-huh.
So that's why I say I think I probably have met him before. I mean, hell, Tabby could have probably introduced me to him, but I just don't remember what he looks like.
Okay, since Tabby was discovered in the park on October the 5th, have you seen or talked to Drew Bush?
No, I haven't.
You took a polygraph in late October, is that correct?
Something like that, yeah.
And you had been prescribed with antidepressant medication at the time of the polygraph?
Not for the first one, no.
What's the first one?
Well, the first lie detector, I don't know the difference between the two. I know I took 2 tests to tell if I was lying or not.
One test you took, you were not on medication, is that correct?
The first one, I wasn't prescribed anything at that time.
What about the second one?
I probably was. Actually, I do. I know I was. I showed them the little foil sample thing because I couldn't pronounce the name of what I was on.
Okay, who prescribed that?
Dr. Harper.
What did he prescribe it for?
It was for depression, for an antidepressant. He said that I really needed to go see a therapist to see if it was depression or anxiety or whatever. He just gave me samples to try and see if it helped me go to sleep.
You said, end of tape. Mr. Alden. Okay, we are back on record. Jay Rich. Mike, you went to Illinois to visit Jennifer Graham. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
And Jennifer's a girl that you met in Indianapolis. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And where was she at in Illinois? You went and visited her, correct?
Correct.
Okay, where at in Illinois?
Her house it's not far from East St. Louis. I can't remember the name of the town. If I seen it, I could tell you.
Okay, so I'm not the best at geography, but I'm thinking it's East St. Louis. That's almost Missouri.
It's East St. Louis. It's actually like inside Illinois. I'm just like the border dissects St. Louis, so they call it East St. Louis. So it extends about 30 minutes past the line and then probably another 20 after that to her place.
So when you go to see Jennifer, you were almost all the way over in Missouri?
Just about, yeah. I mean, it was probably an hour from the border.
You said that you were seeing Tara, something the first week of December. Is that correct?
Something like that, yeah.
And you said that last about a month?
Just about, yeah.
How soon after you were no longer seeing Tara did you start seeing Jennifer Graham?
Probably about a week.
So sometime in January, you believe that. How long did you see her?
Jennifer?
Yes.
Well, I was actually seeing her in person for a total of 6 days through that time. I met her until now because we still email each other. We're friends. We just email each other. That's all we do.
Let's talk about April Lee. You saw her for 2 months?
Yes.
And tell me what time period that was.
Between April and June I'm thinking it was the last week of April till the end of June.
How did you meet her?
I was sitting upstairs on the courthouse square, just sitting there, and Jake Bully pulled up. I guess he had just recently gotten out of jail, came up, talked to me, said he was all sorry, and just the comforting thing because he wasn't there in October. And then he's seen April and her friend driving around, called them over to pull over, and they started talking, and I started talking with Jake and got in the conversation. That's how we met.
How long after you met her were you two living together?
I want to say a week and a half.
And you lived with her consistently until you broke up?
Not consistently till we broke up. Like I said, the last week or two, she was back in Tipton, either staying at friend's house or at the bartender that lives above Dugbo's. She was staying there because she just slept the night there and then go see her kids.
What caused the breakup?
We weren't together at all. We weren't really connecting on an emotional level, and we talked, but we really didn't have nothing to talk about.
You didn't spend a lot of time together?
Not in the last 2 weeks of our relationship, no.
When you were married to Tabitha, the month or two before her murder, during that entire period, were you working full time?
Yes, I was. Wait. October? No, I wasn't.
Okay, tell me about your work schedule that 2 months prior to Tabitha's murder.
I had worked at Jiffy Lube between March and July, and then after being fired from Jiffy Lube, Angela, I didn't get another job until September 5th.
Okay, and where was that new job at?
The Burnett's Service Center.
September the 5th?
Yes.
And you told Mr. Alden you were getting 40 hours a week there.
Really close to it, if not 40.
Okay, and from September the 5th?
Although it was, Monday through Thursday, it was 7 to 1. And then Friday, it was either 7 to 4 or 8 to 5. I can't remember open hours on Friday. I believe for me it was 7 to 4 because I left before everybody else.
Okay.
And then Saturday, it was a half day. It was 7 to 12 or 8 to 12. And then Sunday was off.
Sunday was off.
Uh-huh.
And then, so that was your work schedule from September the 5th through the first week in October?
Yes.
From September the 5th through the first week in October, were you also going to school?
Yes, I was.
How many days a week were you going to school?
Monday through Thursday every week.
And when you would get home Monday through Thursday at 1 o'clock, you'd probably get home at 1:30, or so if you came straight home from work, is that correct?
Monday through Thursday?
Yeah.
I didn't come home Monday through Thursday.
Oh, okay. What did you do?
I got off at 1 and I had to go straight to school in Indy.
Okay.
I had to be there by 2:15, so I had about an hour. That gives me about 10 minutes leadway depending on traffic.
Okay, so from September the 5th through the first week in October, Monday through Thursday, your schedule would be
6:30 in the morning to
10:30 at night.
10:30 to 10:45 at night.
You wouldn't see Tabitha or Drake?
Occasionally, I would stop at Cheryl's gas station to she'd call me, I'd call her, leave her a note or something to see if mom would bring me, $5 so I could get something to eat or buy a pack of cigarettes or something like that. So my mom would bring her out to Cheryl's.
That had to be a difficult time for your family, wasn't it? Not getting to see one another?
Yeah, it was kind of hard. I ended up staying up till like 1 or 2 in the morning. I was getting like 4 hours of sleep just to spend a few hours with Tabby each night.
Okay, and those few hours were midnight to 2 a.m.?
It was pretty much from the time I got home, because Drake was usually already asleep. So from the time I got home to about 1 or 2 in the morning, that I'd stay up and talk with Tabby or whatnot. Would you have whatever we did?
Okay.
Whether it be just sitting there talking or not talking and watching TV, but being beside each other or being in bed together or whatever.
Did you have, after this happened, some of the feelings of guilt that you probably had? Would it have been from you you didn't get to spend any time?
What do you mean? What do you mean by?
Did you feel guilty about not prior to Tabitha's death or murder, not getting to be with her very much?
Yeah, I felt horrible. I mean, same as she did. We missed each other terribly throughout the day. And 4 hours, each night wasn't worth half a sleep. Anyway, really, it isn't enough time. I mean, we always wanted more. And I mean, we always had Sunday and half of Saturday, but that was about it. Through the week, it was really kind of lonely. I mean, I started school, got married on the 3rd, started school on the 11th. So what's that, 8 days? I started school 8 days after we got married. So, I mean, all the time of school and worked at Marsh. When I started work at Jiffy Lube and worked at Burnett's with time in between, that was all right. That's pretty much what kept us together, just between jobs. I'll be able to come home at will and see her. But when I had a job, it was just like the days dragged on and on and on. When I came home, I was so tired I couldn't do anything.
You mentioned Holly. When was the last time you had any sexual contact with her?
Let's see, it was inaudible. She gave me head. But the last day I went to school, which was, I'm thinking, actually, it was the week we buried it. I don't remember what day I went there and let all my instructors know and get my books. And I'd left and get everything that I had left the day when I had left early. And
So this was after the discovery of Tabitha
yeah,
in the park that next week.
right.
What about before that? When was that?
Before that, the last time was in August. We had sex a couple times. She gave me head a few times in August. In August is where it ended. And then the last one in October.
How did that come about?
I asked her if thinking, writing back and forth, and because we weren't allowed to talk, or we were writing back and forth.
Where was it at? Where did it happen?
Where did she actually do it?
Uh-huh.
In my truck,
Where at?
out in the parking lot of the school.
Let's talk about April Lee again. Did you want to have children with her?
Not really. I mean,
Was there any discussion that you told her?
yeah.
Tell me about that.
She'd been talking real serious like, and I was going along with it, not having any problem, seeing us being together for some time. And she talked about children, and I was like, well, you have 3 right now, and you can't really afford them. You're not even raising them, really. To be honest, she wasn't really. She was with me, and her kids were here in Tipton. I had my son, and I was happy with him. I'm still having trouble keeping him supported, like diapers and all that. My mom helps me out a lot. And so I was like, we really can't afford any. If any come along, we will see what happens. But
Was there any suggestions by you or your mother that April get rid of her birth control medication?
there wasn't any discussion about that. Or wait, hang. I read the wrong line.
Right.
All right, say your question again.
Was there any suggestions by you or your mother that April get rid of her birth control medication?
No, I didn't even know April had any birth control medication.
There wasn't any discussion about that?
Not that I'm aware of. I know for a fact my mom didn't say anything about birth control. I mean, my mom loves my son, but she knows as well as I do that I couldn't, handle having another one right now. Because one, I'm out of a job. Two, I'm still learning how to raise my first one.
Did your mother suggest that April move her children into where you were at? To your residence?
I don't think so. I know me and April had talked about moving to places like right next door or, down the complex or something. Been doing that. I don't think my mom said anything like, why don't you move your kids in here with us, being as my mom, my sister, me, April, her 3 kids, and Drake. I don't think my mom would ever say that.
You said, Michael, that you sought counseling. Do you know who that was with?
A really nice lady over the way by the 4-H building.
Did you meet with her?
She's in the doctor's park. Yeah, I went to a couple sessions.
When?
Between November and February, sometime in that time. I went a couple times, about 5 or 6.
Why did you feel you needed to go?
Actually, I didn't. My mom thought I showed signs of depression. I wasn't sleeping. I would go for a week straight, and then, my body would just give out, and pretty much I would pass out.
So what do you think was wrong with you?
Depression. At the time, though, I didn't see myself. I was like, I'm going back to the way I used to be because I used to stay up all night and then sleep during the day. Well, I used to sleep during the day back when I was like 16. I'd sleep during the day, wake up at night. But this, I would be up all day, all night for, a good week. And then I'd pass out and sleep for 2 or 3 days straight.
Do you know Jean Goodnight?
Jean Goodnight. Jean Goodnight.
Do you know Brienne Goodnight?
Yeah, I know Brienne. I was trying to think who Jean was.
Okay.
I think it might be her dad.
Okay.
Is it her dad?
Yeah. Did you ever see Jean when you visited Brienne at the Goodnight's residence?
Yeah, just about every time I'm over there.
Did you ever talk to him?
Yeah, we didn't really talk about anything except his car. His bad and old car that he's redoing, engine, bodywork. We talked about that, but other than that, we didn't have much to say to each other.
Did he ever tell you that he didn't want you to come around the Goodnight house?
No, he didn't.
Never any discussion like that?
No. When me and Brienne dated, this is before me and Tabby even knew each other, he didn't like the fact that I was over there at night. He didn't want me over there at night, past like 9 o'clock or something like that. The thing that you were referring to is when I was talking to Brienne after the funeral. He didn't really say a whole lot. He just said what everyone else said. Just, sorry about your loss. Is there anything we can do to help you now? We're here. Just give us a call, something like that.
You talked about the state of confusion you were in that first week of October. You said that you could only recall bits and pieces of events that week, yet you were adamant and you stated for a fact that when you went with the Hamiltons, Jamie and Kelly Hamilton, to look for Tabitha, that you know that you didn't say anything about not wanting to go to the park.
Right.
How do you know that for a fact if you were in this foggy state?
You see, if you were to ask me these questions that week, I'd been able to answer like that. Snapped. Had you would have maybe specified something like that event, me going with the Hamiltons a couple months afterwards or something like that, would have been able to answer you better than I can today. With the press conference, you remember the press conference that we had at CW Mount. At CW Mount, what's Jamie's mom's name? Kelly Hamilton?
I believe so.
Yeah, Kelly, she had come out and talked to me one-on-one, nobody else around, and actually said that she's like, she was saying that I refused to go to the park, that I said I didn't want to go to the park, that, that I wanted to go here and there and there and there, that I didn't want to that I refused. And I was like, no, I didn't. And she's like, yeah, you did. I remember. And I was like, no, I didn't. If you would have said, let's go to the park to begin with, I would have never went. That's what I told her.
When you did go with Kelly and Jamie Hamilton?
Yes.
On October the 5th to look for Tabitha that Saturday?
Yeah.
Did you know prior to going with them that the police had found the body?
No, I hadn't.
In the park?
I hadn't heard anything.
Do you know Stacy Johnson?
Yes, I do.
Stacy Johnson has said she called and talked to you and had a phone conversation, and that you told her that a body had been discovered in the park, and then after hanging up with her, you went with the Hamiltons looking for Tabitha.
No.
Would you agree that that doesn't make sense that someone would do that?
That doesn't make sense. Because what happened, I don't remember talking to Stacy that day until I seen her at the police station. And then I remember, because I don't believe she was there by the time I got there. She showed up shortly after, and I talked to her about it then. I don't remember talking to her on the phone before. I remember I woke up and then, I took a shower, and then I got in the car with Kelly and Jamie, and we took off, went looking.
Do you know Chris Adley, Mike?
Chris Adley, he's a pool player.
How long have you known him?
Since a couple years, maybe.
How do you know him?
Through Jerry Johnson. Eddie K. Rabbit owns the pool room on Main Street. That's how I know him, playing pool with him.
So he's a friend?
More like a pool player.
So you don't see him outside of the pool hall?
There in the pool hall, I don't see him. I mean, if I'm in the pool and he's there, I see him. If, I work at Marsh and he would come in at night shopping and he'd walk by and say, hey, you're going to be there Saturday talking about the slippery tournament the Rabbit had each weekend. And I'd be probably, and then he would go on shopping and walk away. So, I mean, friend, no. But we didn't dislike each other, but weren't friends.
You didn't hang out?
No, we didn't hang out outside the pool room.
Okay. Have you had any conversations with him in the pool room here in Tipton?
Yeah, I've had conversations with him in the pool room.
And when is the last time you had a conversation with him in the pool room?
October. Last October.
Who else was there when you talked with him?
Rabbit, I want to say Ed, and a guy named Mike.
Mike?
I don't know, big, tall, furry guy.
Big, tall what?
Furry guy. I mean, his tempers.
And Ed. Do you know Ed's name?
Old, really old, skinned guy. You would have to ask Rabbit his last name. I never paid attention.
Do you mean anything about that conversation that you had?
Not particularly. I believe he asked me, why would anyone do that? And I said, I don't know. I told him what rumors I had heard, but that I don't know, so I can't really say. I just spread rumor.
You absolutely are positive that you have not talked to Chris Adley since last October.
Not positively. I'm probably sure I saw him up at the pool room at Rabbit's. Actually, I see him at Rackham in February. I said hi. He was like, what have you been doing? I was like, playing pool. He was like, me too. I'm in a league. Gotta go. And then he was gone.
That's it?
Pretty much.
Okay, what about since February, that conversation?
I don't believe since then. I don't think I visited Rackham since February. I haven't visited Rabbits. I think I've been to Rabbits 2 or 3 times since then, if that, and not a single was he there that I recall.
Okay, what was your response to if I told you that Chris Adley has said that you told him that, and I'm paraphrasing, that you wanted to get rid of Tabitha Raines because you didn't want to pay child support?
No, I never said anything. I never said nothing like that. I remember back in August
August what?
2002,
Okay.
when I was seeing Holly Cave, I talked to him about that. And,
Talk to him about what?
well, see, I told Tabby one night that I was going to go drinking with some friends, and she thought I would be home that night. Well, I guess I didn't make myself clear that I was just going to have a drink. I wasn't, I was going to get drunk, and I was going to stay all night. And she pretty much filed in court on me. Actually, her mom did, that they were worried, didn't know if I was in a car wreck, whatever. And then Rabbit heard on the scanner and brought it up, and Abby was there, and we started talking about why I was doing this, why I was doing that, and whatever. And
Okay, let's get back to this conversation.
yeah, that's what I was going to do.
You say talking about this, talking about that. What were you talking about?
Well, it just led from where Rabbit.
Is he asking why you were out and not with your wife?
He was just wondering what I was doing. I told him that I went to get drunk and told him I was with another girl, and he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, what? Don't you want to be with your wife? I was like, no, we were just, kind of having a little bit of a problem right now. And I wanted to get away. This happened, and, whatever. But I never said I wanted to get rid of Tabby. I just said we were having troubles with our relationship in August, which pretty much resulted from financial burden. I believe she was working at that time, and I wasn't. We were fighting over how to spend the money, on what, and all that. And as far as I know, she didn't know about Holly, so we weren't fighting about that. But I'm sorry, I forgot. Rabbit, what I was saying?
Well, Chris Adley is said that you wanted to get rid of Tabitha so you wouldn't have to pay child support. Did you say that to him?
No, I didn't.
What would you have said that he could have interpreted that way?
Nothing that I know of that I said to him could have been interpreted that way.
Why would he say something like that?
Okay, he might have been confused on what I said. I mean, the length of time I've talked to Chris, I've never known him to lie. I mean, everything he said to me in the pool room was confirmed by Rabbit or his brother or somebody else that he's a real good friends with. Like, he'd tell a story and they would be like, yeah, I was there. That happened. And she said that, so, the conversations that I've had with Chris, he hasn't lied to me as far as I know. And I don't think Chris would lie about something like that. But, he probably just got confused about something I said and took it the wrong way. Or,
Obviously, you know Amanda Pratt.
yes.
Amanda Pratt is saying that at some point prior to Tabitha's murder, you had approached her and stated that you wanted to get rid of Tabby. And do you recall any conversation like that?
I remember hearing that Amanda said that, but
End of tape. Jay Rich. Back on the record. This conversation that we were talking about between you and Amanda Pratt, did that conversation take place?
No, it didn't.
Did you say that you wanted to get rid of Tabitha and Amanda Pratt recommended a divorce?
No.
You don't recall Amanda Pratt recommending that you divorce Tabby if you wanted to get rid of her, and you said that you couldn't do that.
She never recommended divorce, and we never talked about me wanted to get rid of Tabby. That conversation never took place. So she couldn't have recommended a divorce.
Michael, did you benefit financially from the death of Tabitha?
No, I didn't.
Was her life insured?
No, it wasn't. I can tell you this. Most people, when they work so long, they get death benefits from Social Security. It could be anywhere from $250 on up. Tabby hadn't even worked long enough for me to get that, because my mother told me to check on that, just an extra $250 to live off for the next couple weeks after her death. I didn't even get that. And
have you applied for kind of death benefits where Drake would be eligible for because of Tabitha's death?
I think I had an application for one thing, but I never filled it out.
What was it for?
Something along the lines of what you just said. I don't really know. I was like, is there anything that I might be able to get, for me or for Drake or, whatever? They were like, here you go, have your mom fill this out because we can't fill in the answers for you and we can't tell you what to put, but we're sure your mom might know. So I was like, all right. And I took it and never filled it out.
Are you currently receiving any kind of monetary benefit for Drake or for yourself as a result of Tabitha's death?
No. The only thing that I good going for Drake is his insurance, which was free from the time he was born till now, and probably until he's 18, because Tabby had the same thing. Because she had it, he was able to get it, and I applied for it when she applied for it for him, and I couldn't get it because I think I made too much money or something like that. I was declined, so Drake has free health insurance. I think until he's 18. We had him on WIC. Me and Tabby both did. And as soon as he got off formula, I quit getting WIC for him. And no food stamps, nothing like that. Just me and my mom, just doing the best we can.
That's all? Okay, back to Mr. Alvin. Michael, let me just ask you something about you moved out of your house, and what street was it that you were living on in Tipton?
East Street.
East Street, okay. And you moved to what town?
Alexandria.
Now, did you know that there was a shirt that was found under
I heard that.
the floor in your apartment?
I had heard that.
What do you know about that?
Let's see. I heard two different stories. Corey told me that April had told him that Buffy was the one that found it, that she was let in the house by the landlord, and when she found the shirt, she said she went in looking for something and found the shirt. Then from half a phone conversation that I heard, my mom was on the phone with one of Jeff's relatives. I don't know which one.
Jeff?
My stepfather.
Okay.
My mother was on the phone with one of his relatives, and they had told her that April had been the one that had broken into the house and had torn up the carpet and something other and found the shirt and took it up there. So those are the two stories that I heard. April telling somebody else that Buffy was the one that found it, and then somebody else telling my mom that April was the one who found it.
Okay, do you know anything about the shirt?
No, I don't.
You didn't know it was under the floor there.
Well, I knew there was a hole in my bedroom, and Jeff said that had been there since he was a child. And I mean, it was a rather large hole. You could get down it. It was like a crawl space in front of the house for piping and wiring and all that. I had my dresser over the top of it the whole time I lived there. That way nobody stepped in it and fell through and hurt themselves. I knew there was like a little crawl space attic between two walls. Pretty much it was to cover up, the hole in the ceiling right there between the two walls. Like when they had put an extra wall there, they would cut the ceiling out, put the wall there. So there's a hole there, as far as I know. Those are the only two.
What room would that have been in?
The hole in the floor was in the bedroom.
Right.
The hole in the ceiling was between the bathroom and a little short hallway. Like here's the sliding door.
So you don't know anything about a shirt being hidden in your house?
No. Everything that was in my house when I moved out was in there the day the police detective squad came in and scanned for blood and did all their tests and stuff. They didn't find anything. I didn't bring anything into the house, didn't take anything out of the house, and that wasn't already in the house. The only thing that came in and out was food. So I don't know where the shirt came from.
Okay, that's all I had. J. Rich. Mike, was there a box at your apartment that you didn't let anybody look in or see what was in it?
Yeah.
What's in there?
Tabby's stuffed animals, pictures of her as she was growing up, picture frames of Drake, actually mass pictures of Drake as like the Walmart version, bigger ones, all the wallet sizes. Pretty much the whole box of stuffed animals is like this much stuffed animals, this much pictures, and like ribbons of.
Where was this box at?
It was in the back room with like my little storage room with their water heater in there and all that.
Why wouldn't you let anyone look in the box?
It was because when we moved it was because of April, because she had brought up the subject of the pictures and the memorabilia of Tabby that I still had up, and she couldn't deal with looking at it. And I told her, well, when I move, I most likely won't be able to put that up because I won't have room for it. And everything in my house will go into one room. So the stuff will probably stay in a box. Taking her feelings into consideration, I didn't, say what was in there. I didn't let her see what was in there because I packed it up for Drake so he would have what his mother had, her last things. She had stuffed animals she grew up with, a blanket she cuddled with, things like that.
Okay, do you have a box of items that would implicate you in some kind of criminal activity?
No, it wouldn't. Like I said, everything that I took out of my house was there when the police checked everything. Looked through all my drawers, looked through all my paperwork, looked through everything. They did blood work, all that. I mean, the only thing that I have in my house that wasn't in my apartment is what Mom and Michelle brought.
Why would, when you say you wouldn't want someone to see you like that, and you talked about crying and sobbing and being hysterical upon hearing the news about Tabitha, why is it that something you wouldn't want people to see when people would expect that from someone's husband?
It's that whole boy man crying thing that's gone on for ages. Your dad tells you when you're young, be a man, don't cry. You know what I'm saying? Suck it up. And when you go 20 some odd years like that, It's just, people know you as you know the strong type, silent type. You just sit there. Don't really say much about how you feel because you don't know how. Like all your male role models hide their emotions and you follow them. And then later on in life, you don't know what to do.
Did you always try to emulate the strong silent type?
I try. Try to be as much like my mom told me my dad was like.
And that's how you are like. Hang in there and we're almost there. You all right?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you repeat the question?
You, Mr. Alden. So you try to be like your dad was like?
Right. I just try to be like my mom wanted me to be because I really didn't have a father figure, steady my whole life until my mom met Jeff. And then, he wasn't the worthiest guy at the time. But, I just grew up the way my friends' dads were. My dad, when I seen him, how he was, the way Jeff was, I just tried to grow up to be how I preserved a man was in everybody else's eyes.
Jay Rich. Okay, you talked quite a bit today about sobbing and crying and breaking down. Several people that have been talked to during the course of this investigation have said that they thought our behavior was bizarre or unusual because you didn't cry, didn't show any emotion. How do you explain that?
Through my interviews with the police and all that, I didn't cry. I didn't really show emotion. I just answered their questions.
So what about among friends?
Among friends, the few I was around, they did get the chance to see me cry. Paul got to see me, Jean got to see me, and Corey got to see me. Those were the three. Everybody else, I cried with my mom quite a bit. And then anybody else after that, if somebody came in and I was crying, I would get up and leave the room. I mean, they might get a chance to see me with a tear running down my cheek, but my eyes being all red.
At the funeral, at the gravesite, were you making any effort not to break down and not to cry?
Yes, I was. I was trying to be strong. Everybody was trying to be strong. Not many people were able to stand there and not cry. I mean, at this time now, I know that it was okay to cry in front of everybody. Nobody would have said anything to me. But, growing up the way I did, I didn't know that, I might have cried with a group of people before. I didn't know what to do. I was like, man, would it be okay? I really didn't know what to say to anybody else when they were crying. I just didn't know what to do.
Did what happened to all of Tabitha's stuff that she had positioned around your apartment when Tabitha's mother arrived the first time after Tabitha's body was discovered? Had you boxed her things up?
The first time that Buffy arrived after Tabitha's death, everything was still there, up until let's see, March. Everything, all her little knickknacks, all the pictures, all the candlesticks, her little bells and glass angels, and all that was still there until March.
Had you told Buffy Tate that you would get those things to her?
No, I didn't. I told Buffy exactly this. I was like, you can have all of her clothes, all of her shoes, all her makeup, and that's it. I'm keeping her jewelry. I'm keeping her stuffed animals. I'm keeping her own pictures she had, any knickknacks she had, anything she felt was cute, pretty, nice, sweet, whatever is mine. I'm keeping it.
Why were you so adamant about that?
Well, see, I let the clothes, the shoes, and the makeup go because obviously I had no use for it, I wouldn't try wearing Tabby's clothes. I wouldn't try to put her shoes on.
Well, I understand that, but why were you so adamant about the other things?
Because those things, I knew what each thing meant to Tabby. I mean, there was one piece of jewelry I did let go because of it was a family heirloom handed down and that thing. I can understand that. But the rest of the jewelry Tabby had, her sister would have worn, but I didn't want her sister wearing it.
Did you make a statement to, in Buffy's presence, that everything Tabitha liked you hated?
No.
You have any idea why that statement was attributed to you? You didn't make that statement?
No, I didn't make that statement.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
You're under oath. You realize that?
Yes, I do.
And you know you didn't make that statement?
I don't remember ever making a statement like that. I don't see why I'd ever say anything like that because a lot of things Tabby liked, I liked. And there's some differences, but I didn't hate anything Tabby liked. I might have disliked, but I didn't hate.
Jeff Souders is your father-in-law?
Jeff Souders is my stepfather.
Stepfather, I'm sorry. When did Jeff go to Kuwait the first time?
March
of this year?
March of this year.
Okay, but prior to that, was he living with your mother the whole time?
Yeah, he was in the apartment on East Street.
Okay, and around the time of Tabitha's murder, was he there?
Yes, he actually came off the road. He was a semi-driver. He would be home on the weekend and occasionally stop in throughout the week if he didn't have a load.
Did he have access to your apartment and Tabitha's?
Yes, he did.
Did he have a key?
He didn't have a key, but it was where he could have gotten to it. My mom.
Did, after Tabitha's body was discovered and up until the point the police came to your apartment and did the search, did he have access to your apartment during that period of time?
Yeah, same as he did when we first moved in.
Are you aware of him cleaning the apartment to get rid of any incriminating items or evidence?
As far as I'm aware of any time Jeff was ever back in my apartment, if I wasn't there, he wasn't there. He'd come back, knock, wait for me to answer the door. I mean, he could have very well just stuck the key in, walked in and turned the handle and walked in, but he didn't.
Did you ever direct him to clean the apartment?
No, I didn't.
To rid the apartment of any evidence?
As far as I'm aware, he has never cleaned my apartment for any reason.
That's all. Mr. Alden, just a couple other things. Did Tabby ever hang out at the park?
I don't know. I know she's cruised through the park before.
Cruised in her car, you mean?
She didn't have a car. She would be with friends, They would cruise the strip through Tipton. They'd be on Jefferson, go on 19, and go through the park, things like that.
I mean, do you see Tabby walking into the park by herself at 11 o'clock or 10:30 at night?
No, I don't. I mean, I could see her, if she told someone to pick her up there for some reason, whatever reason, I don't know, but I could see that. But I don't see her just going there for no reason by herself.
Okay, what about on Friday before Tabby's body was found? Did Kyle call you and tell you that the cops had called him?
Sounds familiar.
Do you remember telling the polygraph examiner the polygraph you took something about that?
I actually remember Kyle saying that the cops were at his house, and I can't tell you when that was. Could have very well been Friday, but I don't remember right now. I don't remember what day it was.
Did he ask to tell you to say something to him about not calling him or tell them, I don't, that I didn't have anything to do with this, or?
He didn't say anything like that. He didn't tell me to tell them not to say anything like that. He didn't do it. But
did he call you Friday or not?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
You don't remember him ever calling you and telling you that the cops were?
I remember him calling me and telling me that but I don't remember what day it was.
Okay, now what did he tell you? What exactly did he tell you?
Well, he called me up and he was like, Michael, the cops are here. And I was like, why? And he's like, there's a Tipton cop and I think 2 sheriffs or 2 city cops or something.
Well, what did he say about it?
Well, he just said the cops were there and they're asking all kinds of questions about Tabby and they think I didn't and all that. And
So he called you while the police were there to tell you that?
they were outside, I think. I think they had just left. I'm not clear on that.
So why was he calling you to tell you that?
I think he was calling me to tell me before anybody else did that he was a suspect or some shit like that.
Okay, and did Amanda call you and tell you to come over to the house on Saturday?
On Saturday? Yes, she did.
Did you go?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Because after whoever told me that my name had been used for a drug deal in a rumor, there was a rumor going around that someone had used my name too as their own, all during a drug deal, and the drug deal went back, so somebody was after me, and there was also many other rumors. I can't even remember them all to this day.
Okay, I'm asking you why you didn't go over to Amanda and Kyle's house.
I didn't know what their motives were, why they really wanted me over there. I mean, I didn't know who killed Tabby, and I wasn't pointing the fingers at anybody at that time.
So did you hang out with Amanda and Kyle after Tabby's body was found or not?
No.
You have never been over there to their house since then.
And unfortunately, that's where the deposition stops. So whatever he was said in his deposition after that, we don't have. So what do you think about all that?
Bunch of confusion.
Yeah, it's like he didn't want to answer their questions.
He was beating around the bush.
Yeah.
I mean, look how many times they had to re-ask the question.
Exactly. And the whole thing of giving Tabby's clothes and shoes away were fine, but he wasn't going to share anything else with the family.
Right.
That was kind of strange. I mean, I can see him keeping some things.
Right.
For
but
Drake
not,
and whatever.
But yeah, but not like the knickknacks and all that stuff.
Right. Normally when somebody passes away, you share their items with all of the family members. I can see why he may not would have wanted her sister wearing the jewelry. But with their finances, I can't see that it was really expensive jewelry either.
Exactly.
So.
And so what if the sister did wear it?
Right. It's not like he was going to see her sister all the time.
I could see him keeping her wedding rings.
Right.
And the engagement ring or any jewelry that he may have bought for her.
Right.
But as far as all the other stuff, what's the big deal?
Yeah, why didn't he just give it to, because Drake's not going to wear her jewelry.
Right. Yeah, it was a bunch of confusion in there, that's for sure.
Yeah. Anything else stick out in that one to you?
Other than the fact that he knew something about the shirt.
Right.
Not really. I mean, that besides him women bouncing.
Yeah. Major women bouncing
before
and after.
Right. and that he was having an affair.
Right. Before she died.
Right. Well, and even shortly after.
Right. And I guess the big question is, did Tabby know he was having an affair?
Well, did he say, I can't remember, when he said that he was staying with Holly, did he tell her that he was with Holly, or did he just say he was going out drinking?
He just said he was going out drinking.
Drinking, right. I bet she had some sort of suspicion that he was having an affair.
You would think word would have gotten back to her. It always
Well,
does.
I know if I was that young and my husband was staying out all night, that's the first place my mind would have went to.
Right.
And especially since they didn't see each other that often.
Right.
I mean, you can only go to school and be at work for so long.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So there's one more document that we need to read when it comes to Michael. And I got to find it here. Okay. I've got it up, and it is his polygraph examination report. Now, in the deposition, you had heard that he had taken 2. One was the full-blown polygraph, and that's the results we have from. And then it sounds like he took another one.
The one we have is from October the 31st.
Yeah, but it was different. It was like a stress voice analyzer or something. So I'm going to read what we have here. Indiana State Police Report, Polygraph Examination Report, Privileged and Confidential, to Gary Stout, Detective, Tipton Police Department, from Sergeant Robert A. Brinson, Laboratory Division, Fort Wayne Regional Lab, gives their address, phone number, date 10/31/02, reference agency case number 02-103-616, polygraph case number 861. The following will constitute a confidential report of the interviews and polygraph examination conducted on 10/31/02 with Michael F. Raines. The purpose of this examination was an effort to ascertain whether or not Mr. Raines was involved in the death of his wife, Tabitha Raines. Polygraph waiver. Before the examination, Mr. Raines read and signed a statement assuring the polygraph examiner that the examination was being taken voluntarily. He had also read and signed a stipulated polygraph agreement that had been prepared by the Tipton County Prosecutor's Office. Pre-examination interview. Michael admitted he and his wife had been having financial problems. He admitted they didn't have enough money to go out and do things or go places. He also admitted he and his wife had talked about having sex with another couple in Tipton. He stated the friends were Kyle Neff, age 22, and his girlfriend, Amanda Pratt. Michael said they had gone to their house and played a sex game called Foreplay. He described that they used cards and then would do sexual acts that had been agreed on. Michael stated the girls had taken their tops off and exposed their breasts. He also said they talked about having sex with their partner, with the other couple. He admitted they had planned on switching to threesomes. He said he agreed to have sex with his wife, Tabitha, and Amanda, and then Kyle and Tabitha and Amanda. Examination. During the actual polygraph examination, 2 charts were conducted in which the following relevant questions were asked in examination structure with other information and or control type questions. Number 1, did you shoot Tabitha Raines? Answer, no. Were you the one that fired the shot that killed Tabitha? No. Examiner's analysis. Based on the information furnished to this examiner on this interview and upon evaluation of the polygraph charts administered during this examination, it is the opinion of this examiner that the subject has not been completely truthful. Physiological responses noted on the subject's polygraph charts are in such a pattern as to cause this examiner to believe that Michael F. Raines did, in fact, fail his polygraph examination. At no time did Mr. Raines show any remorse or explain why he had such deceptive chart tracings to the relevant questions posed in the examination. And it was signed by Sergeant Robert A. Brinson. That's some pretty specific questions that he failed.
Yeah.
And they asked it in multiple ways. They asked him point blank, did you shoot Tabitha? And he said no. And then they asked, were you the one that fired the shot that killed Tabitha? And he said no. And he failed those 2 questions and the whole test.
Right.
So now we can see why people think he was involved.
Right.
Otherwise, why would he fail those 2 questions?
Well, but it seems like almost everybody they polygraph failed.
Except for Jonathan Yates.
Except for Jonathan Yates. And we don't know Liz's.
Right. That is a good point.
Michael, Kyle, and Andrew. All of them failed.
Right. It would be interesting with today's technology to have them do another lie detector test and see what happened.
Yeah.
Definitely would be interesting.
It'd be interesting to have everything redone.
Well, yeah, I agree.
Because the DNA testing and all that stuff is way more advanced now than what it was back in 2002.
Right. No, I agree. All right, everyone. That is the statements and depositions and polygraph results from Michael F. Raines. In our next episode, we're going to read Michael's mother's statements. I think there's one short one, and are they both short?
There's a short statement that she gave at the police station and then her deposition. And yeah, they're both relatively short.
Okay. So that episode will be coming out next. And then from there, we'll see what we're going to go with next.
Lots more to read.
Thank you for joining us. And remember, if you have any thoughts, questions, put them in the comments below. Please like the stream and share it out. with friends, families, groups. Until then, we will catch you on the next show.
Bye.
Bye.